ExecuJet conduct Australia-wide and international corporate jet charter in very sophisticated and modern jet aircraft. ExecuJet management and staff at all levels displayed a very proactive attitude towards safety management systems as early as 2002. And since that time, they've continued to develop their safety management system to suit their operations.
Our safety management system was put in place in 2000. We commenced with the formal reporting system, which was the OASIS reporting system, and with the HARM notebook. The type of systems that we have in place at ExecuJet, we have induction training for new employees. We have CRM training each 6 months for our flight crews. We have an open and very active reporting systems of hazards. We utilise a database that's been in the industry for some time, which again is the OASIS safety management system and the HARM notebook. Our main risks that we've identified is our exposure operating into unfamiliar airports in an unfamiliar environment, due to the nature of charter, having to respond at times quite quickly to charter requests.
We were in London the other week, and there was a big tropical cyclone in the Gulf of Oman that basically shut down the Muscat airspace, and they were forecasting huge winds and blowing sand in Dubai, and our operations director, he was the captain on the aircraft, just felt that it wasn't safe to take the aircraft there. So he rang the owner of the aircraft and apologised for the delay and explained that due to safety reasons, we couldn't go there. And because of the open communication we had, we stayed in Europe for another day, which I didn't mind so much. We have like the formal hazard reporting system, where if you see something that is affecting safety, then you write out a hazard report and it gets acted on immediately. But we also have pilots reports, which is like a non-formal system to encourage people to report ideas or small problems or small mistakes that they've made. And it's through the non-formal system that we pick up a lot of trends of little mistakes which don't constitute a hazard as such, but a lot of them together constitutes a trend which could cause a hazard eventually.
It was late, and it was we're tight on schedule. We really need to get going. So everything has to be done in a very quick manner. And we had to clear custom. So whilst we're landed in Brisbane, the aircraft has to get fuel. So I did, but I then was distracted from my previous task of refueling, wanting to get the thing going, and the weather was turning really bad. So it's sort of like you're stacking the odds up against yourself already. But I said to Trent, well, have you done a final walk around? And Trent says, no, I didn't. Have you done a final walk around?
I didn't, I thought you did it.
He said, Trent, did you do a walk around? I said, oh, I didn't. Did you, Bill? He said, no.
So we don't know. But luckily, because we have this check system that we say to each other, and we were able to say, well, if I'm not sure, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So, well, we better stop and check. All right.
So there was nothing left to do. Our safety culture is such that there was no fear of retribution. We said to the owner, I'm very sorry. And I put my earphones on and I went out and walked around the aircraft, and we found that the fuel hatch was open and the fuel cap was dangling in the air. So it was like the layers of the Swiss cheese. All of the holes aligned for us that day, and it was our final procedure of always having that last minute walk around that saved us from taking off with the fuel cap off.
So this is the practice that we pride ourselves on. We don't want to say, well, we do everything right. We do make mistakes, but hopefully our system will help us that the mistake is caught before it becomes a disaster.
At times it can be difficult to keep interest levels up. What I have noticed with different companies with safety management policies, it sort of gets a bit of momentum going, and it plateaus, and it just sort of stagnates a little bit. I think one of the key elements to keeping people interested in the safety reporting system is providing feedback and regular feedback as to the results of their observation.
Well, from my perspective as a pilot, I know that the safety management system's working because I've put reports in the past of issues or problems that I've identified, and they've come up at pilots meetings and I've been able to give my input, and a few times, you know, my ideas and the problem I've identified has come to a solution.
Well, when we get a pilot's report comes to me, I review it, and if I feel there is immediate action needs to be taken, I obviously go and talk to the aircrew and say, well, what happened here? Why is this not done, or why has that happened? If it was a more or less non-urgent nature, then I will put it into the database, which then gets to the safety manager. Safety manager look at the database, then he can decide whether we have either this is a hazard orientated or operational orientated. And after that, we discuss every item, not just selected items. We discuss every item, every report that gets reported.
Well, one of our pilots went on his annual recurrent training in Montreal, and it turned out that 8 out of 10 guys in his course had got airborne in the 604 and left the gear pins in. So Chris came back to Australia, and we're sitting around in a pilot's meeting, and he tells us this story, and somebody says, what stops us? What's stopping our company from doing the same thing? We realised that there was a hole in our procedures, so we had a bit of a brainstorming session, all sorts of ideas came out. We came up with this idea for a physical plastic collar that sits over the thrust levers, so it's impossible to start the engines without removing the collar. So our procedure now is that when we remove the pins, the guy that removes the pins comes upstairs, shows the 4 pins and removes the plastic collar. So that way there's no way we can ever start and get airborne with the plastic collar or the pins in the aircraft. We were discussing safety issues, you know, with our chief pilot in Dubai, and he was the same. He realised what's stopping them from taking off with the gear pins. So now there's 2 aircraft in Australia with the throttle collars and 5 aircraft in Dubai that are flying with them. When you report an incident in a hazard report or a pilot's report, it's up to you as the crew member if you would like to put your name on the report. I believe when the safety manager, if you do put your name on there, when it gets entered into the OASIS system, it gets de-identified anyway. But I've never felt like, you know, I couldn't put my name on something. There's no retribution for putting in a report.
Well, the benefit of having a safety management system is so that we're not ignorant to the problem that we may have. I like to think when I was younger, I think I know it all. I know everything there is to know about aviation. Now I'm 50 years old and I've been flying for a long time. I must say I'm starting to realize there's a lot more that I don't know about aviation. And this program, the safety management program, tells me that there's a lot more that I don't know, and makes me realize that I need to continuously monitoring my own progress in this area, and I need to be able to accept other people's opinion on my practice, on everybody else's practice.
In a professional environment, safety is part and parcel of aviation. And I think there's a lot of assumptions made that if it hasn't happened yet, it may not happen. But I think we need to approach each day, each flight, thinking, what can get us today? What can go wrong today? What can we do to prevent it?